The old mansion creaked and groaned around Mac like a dying beast, its every sound echoing through the empty halls. The wind rattled loose shutters, and somewhere above, a door slammed shut with a hollow thud, as if the house itself was restless, uneasy in its own skin. Dust motes danced in the pale moonlight filtering through grimy windows, swirling lazily in the stagnant air. The moonlight cast strange patterns on the peeling wallpaper, illuminating the neglect and abandonment that had settled here for years. He was alone, always alone. Mac ran a hand through his hair, sighing, the weight of solitude pressing down on him. The silence seemed to seep into his bones, making the vast empty rooms feel even colder. He wondered if anyone had set foot here in decades. The silence was deafening. He missed the city, the noise, the people, the comforting chaos of life outside these walls. Here only memories and shadows kept him company, and both felt like strangers. But he was here now, in this crumbling mausoleum, seeking, what? Solace? Escape? Or perhaps answers to questions he couldn't quite name. The mansion seemed to watch him, its secrets hidden in every corner, daring him to uncover them. He wandered into the bathroom, the floorboards creaking ominously beneath his weight, each step a reminder of the house's age and fragility. The tiles were cracked, the fixtures rusted, and the air felt colder here, as if the room itself was holding its breath. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of damp and decay. A single flickering bulb cast long, distorted shadows across the room, making the faded wallpaper seem to writhe and shift. Every shadow seemed to hint at something lurking just out of sight. Max splashed water on his face, trying to wash away the silence and the sense of unease that clung to him. As he reached for a towel, his gaze fell upon the mirror, its surface cracked and clouded with age, reflecting a version of himself he barely recognized. And that's when he saw it. In the fractured glass, something moved behind him, a fleeting shadow, a shape that shouldn't have been there. His breath caught, heart pounding, as the mansion's secrets began to stir. His reflection stared back at him, contorted in a silent scream. The glass seemed to trap the sound, holding it hostage, as if the mirror itself was a prison for his fear. Eyes wide, mouth agape, a mask of pure terror. Mac froze, heart pounding against his ribs, each thump echoing in the silence. The air felt thick, heavy with dread, as if the room itself was holding its breath. It was a trick of the light, he told himself. A fleeting illusion, a shadow cast by his own anxiety. He tried to steady his breathing, forcing logic into the chaos swirling in his mind. He blinked, hoping the image would dissolve. But the reflection remained, unmoved and unblinking, as if it existed in a world just out of reach. His own face, twisted in a soundless cry for help. Mac cautiously reached out, his fingers trembling, the distance between him and the glass feeling impossibly vast. The cold glass met his touch, sending a chill up his arm. He looked closer, searching for any sign that the reflection was truly his own. The screaming face in the mirror didn't move. It was frozen, a snapshot of pure horror, as if time itself had stopped for the figure trapped behind the glass. Mac's breath caught in his throat. This was wrong, deeply wrong. The silence pressed in, amplifying his fear, making every second stretch into eternity. He tore his gaze away from the mirror, a cold dread seeping into his bones. This house, it was changing him. He could feel it, creeping into his thoughts, twisting reality. The walls seemed to close in, shadows lengthening, as if the house itself was alive, feeding on his fear. Max stumbled back, desperate to escape the grip of the silent scream still echoing in the glass. The next morning, the mirror was normal. Mac tried to convince himself it was just a nightmare, but the memory of that silent scream lingered, a haunting echo in the back of his mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him. Every time he caught his reflection in the tarnished silver of an old picture frame, the polished surface of a grandfather clock. The same horrifying image flashed before his eyes. Silent screams, multiplying, surrounding him. He tried to ignore them, but the reflections grew more frequent, more intense. The fear was a living thing now, coiling around him, squeezing the air from his lungs. Mac couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed a heavy candlestick, its silver surface mocking him with another glimpse of the scream, and smashed it against the bathroom mirror. Shards of glass rained down, the reflection fragmented but not gone. Each piece, no matter how small, showed his contorted face, trapped in a silent shriek. He covered the shards with a blanket, desperate to hide the sight. He boarded up the bathroom mirror, then the hallway mirror, the antique hand mirror in the guest room. But the reflections found him anyway, in the dark surface of the TV screen, in the polished silver of a spoon. There was no escape. Sleep offered no respite. Mac was plagued by nightmares. A dark, suffocating void where he saw himself trapped behind a wall of glass, pounding, screaming, but no sound escaped. He woke up gasping for air, the line between dream and reality blurring. One night, as he lay in bed, eyes squeezed shut against the darkness, he saw it again. The silent scream. Only this time it was different. The reflection in the window moved. It smiled, a slow, chilling stretch of lips that didn't belong on his face. The eyes, wide and terrified, seemed to mock his fear. It was no longer just a reflection. It was becoming something else, something aware. Mac's days became completely consumed by the reflections. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and honestly, his every waking moment was dominated by the chilling images that surrounded him. He was losing himself in the silent screams, his own identity fracturing like a shattered mirror. Each night, the dreams grew more vivid, more terrifying. He was trapped behind glass, the world he knew just out of reach, his own reflection watching him with cold, calculating eyes. He would wake up in a cold sweat, the feeling of invisible fingers wrapped around his throat. One evening, Mac found himself drawn back to the boarded-up bathroom mirror. He could feel a presence on the other side, watching, waiting. The silence in the house was absolute, broken only by the frantic beating of his own heart. He reached for the boards, his fingers trembling. He had to see. He had to know. With a grunt, he tore the boards away, ripping the covering off the broken mirror beneath. The shattered glass reflected his image back at him, dozens of distorted faces, all contorted in the same silent scream. But this time, there was something else. Behind the shattered remnants of his own reflection, he saw it. A figure, tall, gaunt, with eyes that burned like hot coals. It was him, and yet it wasn't. The figure reached out from the mirror, its long, slender fingers pressing against the glass. Max stumbled back, a scream rising in his throat. But, no sound came out. He tried again, his voice a strangled whisper. Nothing. The figure in the mirror smiled, a slow, predatory grin spreading across its face. Mac's vision blurred. He felt himself falling, pulled towards the cold, unforgiving surface of the mirror. His last thought, before darkness consumed him, was a terrifying certainty. He was no longer alone. He woke with a gasp, his chest heaving as if he had surfaced from the depths of a nightmare. The air felt thick, heavy with the residue of dreams he could not quite remember, but which left his heart pounding in his ears. He was lying on the cold bathroom tiles, the chill seeping into his bones. Around him, shards of a shattered mirror caught the first pale light of dawn, scattering it across the room in fractured patterns. Each piece seemed to hold a fragment of his fear, reflecting it back at him. Slowly he pushed himself up, his limbs trembling, and looked toward the mirror. He could see his reflection staring back at him, eyes wide and searching, as if trying to confirm that he was truly awake. His own face, calm, untroubled. For a fleeting moment, relief washed over him. It was over, he thought. The terror had passed, and he was safe. Just a man in a quiet room, the nightmare fading with the morning light. He tried to speak, to reassure himself with the sound of his own voice, but his throat tightened. The words caught, trapped behind his lips, as if something unseen held them back. He tried again, forcing the air from his lungs, but only silence answered him. Panic began to rise, cold and sharp, twisting in his chest. He couldn't make a sound. His mouth moved, forming words he could not hear, his own silence echoing louder than any scream. His gaze darted to the reflection, searching for answers, for some sign that he was still himself. The reflection tilted its head, a curious, almost playful expression flickering across its face. Then, slowly, it smiled. A smile that did not belong to him. It was the same smile he had seen in his nightmares. A twisted, mocking grin that seemed to stretch impossibly wide, promising nothing but dread. The same smile that had haunted his every waking moment, lurking at the edges of his mind, waiting for him in the darkness. Mac was trapped, caught in a place where fear and reality blurred, not behind the glass, but within it. He could feel the cold surface pressing against him, as if the mirror itself had become a barrier he could never cross. A prisoner in his own reflection, forever silenced, forever alone in the looking glass. The world outside moved on, but he remained, a silent witness to his own undoing, lost in the endless depths of the mirror.